Yo, it's that shit, my boy. I like this. Yeah, cause I say that I'm up. Yo, I'm up. Can I say that I'm up? Yeah. Check this out right here. Here we go again, people. The vibes is here. Man, what's going on, man? It's your boy Nighttime. Welcome back to another show of Shooting the Breeze, where we talk hip hop culture, independent hip hop music, as well as sports, relationships, and I try to come from a perspective of no emotion, really just facts, right? None of the yelling, none of the hot takes for viral clicks. Really just coming from a good place. I'm just coming from a good place, man. I'm not here to do all of the rah-rah, but nonetheless, man, if you're here, make sure you guys share this with people, like, comment, subscribe, and all that other good stuff. But today is ML King Day. A special day, and this topic may be a little bit controversial and what I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to hop right into it. And it's something that's constantly talked about, it's debated about on the internet, and it's just kind of one of those things. And it's hip hop culture and who created hip hop. And I'm here to tell you that foundational Black Americans are the creators of hip hop culture. And I say that not to be divisive. I say that not to marginalize any other groups. I say that not to say that foundational Black Americans are better than any other blacks in the diaspora or anything of that nature. But I think it's important to give credit to the creators, as well as, recognizing contributors to the culture. So again, I come with a respectful tone, not here to marginalize anybody. I'm just more or less here to tell the truth. And sometimes telling the truth doesn't sit well with some individuals, but I definitely want to give you my take and my perspective on it. So let's hop in. But before I do that, I want to give some light to the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, who is probably one of the most iconic figures in American history, and has a very large global recognition as well. So I want to give a shout out to Martin Luther King Jr. And kind of touch on something that he said. And I know ML King, he stood for truth, he stood for dignity and self-determination. He believed a people must be able to define their own labor, their own culture, and their own contributions without distortion, which kind of leads me into today's topic. And it's the spirit that I'm going to talk about today. And again, I'm going to talk about hip hop, which is a global culture today, but one that began with a very specific community, very specific conditions, very specific people. And again, as I said earlier, it started with foundational Black Americans. So let's start with the first topic of business, and early hip hop. So FBA first, the early DJs that you don't hear about. Obviously, I want to make sure that I give credit to the three more popular contributors that you hear about, and that's DJ Herc, Cool Herc, Bambaataa, as well as Flash. Much respect to all three of those brothers. They are extremely iconic in terms of their contributions, uh, you know, to the culture. Flash brought the technology. Herc extended the breaks, and Bam brought that social awareness and that community outreach, Zulu Nation, uh, to the culture. And these brothers are all iconic. So I want to make sure that I give them their respect. Um, but first, let me hop into DJs that we don't talk about, that kind of predate the commercialization of hip hop. One is DJ Pete Jones. And if you don't know DJ Pete Jones, he's one of the earliest to loop and extend breaks. The other, Disco King Mario from the Bronx. Did a lot of parties before hip hop was commercialized. Also DJ Hollywood. Hollywood, he brought that rhythmic, proud engagement, that MC style delivery, and then also Eddie Chiba, party rocking, call and response foundation, and there are many more. So I just want to make sure that I at least give these DJs their proper respect. And like I said, there are many more. But again, these were foundational Black American DJs playing uh, foundational Black American music, as well as rocking it for social gatherings for Black American, uh, the young crowd at the time, and older crowds as well. But nonetheless, this matters because hip hop didn't begin with technology, right? Hip hop began with community practices. All right. So my second point, and guys, like I said, there's a lot of things that I can cover, but I don't want to get too lengthy with this. Obviously, do your research. There's so much that you can uncover in this rich history, but I just want to keep it relatively short and kind of really hit some points home. The other is the culture, the culture's condition, right? So if you look at kind of the struggle that hip hop came up under, hip hop came and it started in the Bronx, early 70s. And again, this is a time that was marked by, a lot of things that were happening in Black America at that time. But again, we're speaking of the Bronx, redlining, housing discrimination, burnt out buildings, barrels of fire, rubble, youth programs being cut out, Black American communities being abandoned. I mean, if you look at the Bronx in the 1970s, man, it was just dilapidated buildings. It was scary when you look at how that community looked back in the 70s. But artists like James Brown, Last Poets, Gil Scott Heron, they laid that rhythmic, that verbal blueprint before hip hop even had a name. All right. James Brown's probably the most, or one of the most sampled artists in hip hop history. James Brown is a foundational Black American. Okay, so I just want to note that. Also, too, obviously we understand that there were female groups, and there were women who were a part of the culture, and I could take a deep dive into that, but I really want to specifically talk about one particular female MC who, in my opinion, does not get her credit. And again, this is the first widely recognized female MC in hip hop, and that's Ciroc. foundational Black American from the BX. And Ciroc, the Funky 4+1, she was a part of that. She performed on national television. She helped shape early MC performances. She pushed lyrical presence in a male-dominated space. Also, Ciroc wasn't a guest in the culture, right? She was a part of the foundation. So again, women were present at the beginning, but as a Black American woman who is foundational, you got to give Ciroc her props. She was absolutely phenomenal. So check her out. Let me get into number 4 here. And this is one that, again, is going to cause probably a lot of pushback from individuals, and that's okay. I think it's healthy, and I want to make sure that this is a healthy conversation. And this is that of contributors versus originators. Okay, let me say that again. This is about contributors versus originators. Okay, so I want to be as balanced, respectful as I possibly can here. And I think it's important to be, as accurate as possible as well. So if you look at some of the early innovators, okay, it had Caribbean lineage and it had their technical contributions. I think I mentioned Grandmaster Flash, but lineage alone, it doesn't determine the cultural authorship. And let me just talk about hip hop's language, its cadence, its storytelling, the attitude, social commentary, all came directly from foundational Black American traditions. Contributions and creation are not the same thing. Acknowledging origin does not erase contributions, okay? Hip hop became global because many people touched it. That is a fact. You had not only the Caribbeans, but you also had a lot of people in the Latino community, Puerto Rican, probably more so. But you see the rise of also Dominicans and also Mexicans who have also contributed to the progression of hip hop culture. That is a fact. I remember groups like, listening to groups like the Beatnuts. I was a huge fan of them. Super dope group. Crazy Legs, when you talk about breakdancing. Okay. So, there's a lot of phenomenal contributors to the culture. So I want to make sure again that I'm acknowledging that. All right. But again, like I said, hip hop is global. Many people touched it, but it began with foundational Black Americans. That's all I'm trying to say. So kind of want to end on this note. And like I said, I really wanted to keep it, fairly short today on MLK Day, but I wanted to kind of just, again, spit some more truth here. And again, Dr. King, he talked about the dignity of labor, and culture is labor. Hip hop is Black American labor, built by foundational Black Americans and shared to the world. So honoring that truth doesn't divide us. It should ground us. Okay? You can respect everyone who contributed and still give its proper credit to the people who built the foundation. All right? Again, hip hop is global, but its roots its roots are foundational Black Americans. Truth isn't disrespectful. Okay? But again, let me repeat that. Truth isn't disrespectful, but erasure, that is. When you try to erase the contributions, but more importantly, when you try to erase the originators, just because you didn't hear about them and they weren't commercialized, they're the originators that created the foundation, who people were trying to emulate their swagger, the way they dress, their clothing, their slang, how they rock parties. That comes from foundational Black Americans. So like I said, this is not division. I have 2 top 5 MC lists. One is my Grandmaster top 5 list, and then the other is just my generational top 5. Let me talk about my generational top 5 list for 1 second. Okay. And I've never shared this, but let me give you my generational top 5, and let me just sip a little water here. So my generational top 5, basically Generation X, these are my top 5 to me personally in my generation. And that's Nas, Jay-Z, Biggie, Busta Rhymes, and Fabulous. Sometimes I switch Fab and Jada. I think they're fairly close, but those are my top 5. So let's talk about my top 5 and why this conversation of foundational Black Americans are important. Biggie, Jamaican lineage. Busta Rhymes, Jamaican lineage. I want to say Fabulous is, I want to say Fabulous is half FBA. I think his dad might be FBA. His mom is Dominican or Cuban, one of the two. But the point that I'm making is that I don't have any hatred towards any groups, and I want to make sure that I'm being extremely clear about that. If you're dope, if you're great, if you contribute to this wonderful culture that was created for us, I'm gonna give it up to you. You could be Caribbean, and you could be Spanish. If you're dope, you're dope, and I'm gonna give it up to you. White, all of that. If you're good, I'm gonna say you're good. Okay? So I don't have any hangups. But at the same time, when we talk about the creators of this culture, we can't overlook foundational Black Americans and their contributions to starting this thing. All right? So, like I said, I'd love to hear your comments. Hopefully they're respectful, but I definitely want to hear from you. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, share. Let me know what you think about it. All right. On that note, guys, I'm going to sign off. It's your boy Nighttime. Y'all take it easy. Enjoy.
The words that I speak is power, vivid as cameras, aggression and ambition upload piles of stamina. The panorama's what I'm seeing up top, because the bottom it was covered with slop plus confrontational ops. The road ahead is possibilities, finesse your progress, the hit goes for memories. The tendency is stagnation, limited sensation, a lock is on, I know what a combination. Obligation, what you facing, but you be rarely chasing. Not even moving at a turtle's pacing, it's so problematic. The mental fog and the brain static, the able body jam is kinda tragic. Now you fighting over Popeyes, dry skin looking cockeyed. Decisions that you make is rolling snake eyes. Can't even get a job at Five Guys. I guess I can't be surprised, procrastination is the thief of your time.